What's going on, everybody? Welcome into episode 145 of the MudWatch Sports Podcast on this Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026. I'm your host, Zach Malum, but before we get started, please subscribe below, follow all of my social accounts. Let's start things off in the world of basketball as the New York Knicks had a busy weekend starting on Friday evening. They went up to Milwaukee to take on the Milwaukee Bucks. Of course, the Bucks without Giannis Antetokounmpo for this one, still dealing with that right calf strain, but the Knicks took full advantage of it. 127-98, the final. The Knicks win it behind 27 points on 11 of 17 shooting from Jalen Brunson. He had 4 3-pointers in the game, 7 rebounds, 3 assists to go along with it. But you look at Karl-Anthony Towns as well, 17 points, 13 rebounds. I think the biggest contributor for the Knicks in the starting lineup was OG Anunoby. 28 minutes, but 24 points, 8 of 10 shooting from the field, 5 of 7 from deep. And then you add the 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals on top of it. He was plus 20 in the plus-minus column in this one. The Knicks got great contributions from the bench as well. Mo Diawara, a guy that I'm going to talk about a little bit later as well. 10 points in this game, a couple of 3-pointers, 4 of 4 from the free throw line as well. 3 rebounds, 2 assists. But the biggest stat line that sticks out to me, the biggest stat, is plus 25 for Mo Diawara. An impact off the bench that you really weren't expecting too much going into this game against the Bucks. Plus 25, that was a team high for the Knicks. Mo Diawara really having an impact, and Landry Shamet also did some great work off the bench. 15 points. He had 5 3-pointers, plus 20 in the plus-minus column. So a great win for the Knicks, of course, against a Bucks team that is not fully healthy, not really healthy at all. When you look at Giannis Antetokounmpo not playing in the game, of course, the Knicks should win this game on the road pretty easily to calm the nerves just a little bit after that loss against the Cleveland Cavaliers a couple of days before that. But really, the nerves that people had when they were looking at that game against the Cleveland Cavaliers, I think they were settled on Sunday when you look at the Knicks, who came back home to take on one of the hottest teams, if not the hottest team in all of basketball. The San Antonio Spurs came in on an 11-game winning streak, had not lost in over a month, and they take on the Knicks in a 1 o'clock game at Madison Square Garden. And this game was all New York. 114-89 the final. And the Knicks hold the Spurs to 89 points in this game. Great work on the defensive side of the ball. And it really all started with the first half. The Knicks struggled to start the game. They were trailing for a fair amount into the second quarter. But then you look at this Knicks team that goes on a 26-2 run midway through the first half, and that completely changed the game. San Antonio had no answers for it. The Knicks got a monster game from Mikal Bridges in this one. 25 points, 10 of 17 shooting from the field, 5 of 9 from beyond the arc, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 5 steals in the game. His 5th career game with 5 or more steals. A great game on the defensive side of the ball for this Knicks team, and that was something that you were really worried about, or at least I was really worried about a couple of weeks ago. The Knicks' inability to win on the road, plus the fact that they do not play defense, and when they don't shoot the ball well and they don't play defense, the Knicks are going to lose every single game in front of them. But they played phenomenal defense. Then they also shot the ball pretty solid compared to what you're expecting in terms of a game that San Antonio had 89 points. The Knicks had 114 points, but they got most of their work from beyond the arc. It was 17 3-pointers in the game that really changed it for the Knicks versus just 9 for the Spurs. I think when you look at the Knicks as well, a team that only shot 44% on the day and put up 114 points, that's due to the turnovers that San Antonio had and the easy baskets that the Knicks were able to have off of turnovers. 22 turnovers for the San Antonio Spurs in this game. Completely changes the game, and the Knicks get a much-needed win over a phenomenal team, a red-hot Spurs team. Great win for the morale of this Knicks team right now, and they take down the Spurs 114-89 on Sunday at Madison Square Garden. So the Knicks now go into a very tough stretch. Of course, it started on Sunday when they took on the San Antonio Spurs, but the next couple of games, do not get any easier. They have a back-to-back for tonight and tomorrow night. When you look at tonight, it's going to be the Toronto Raptors up in Toronto. They host the New York Knicks at 7:30, and the Knicks come into this game as 2.5-point favorites, total sitting at 221.5. Toronto 35-25 on the year, Knicks 39-22. I think when you look at it, the Knicks have to start off strong in this game, and they also have to keep the momentum after the couple of wins that they had against the Bucks as well as the Spurs. I think when you're looking at Toronto as well, they're not great right now in terms of their ability to win on their home floor. They've lost their last 3 up in Toronto, and they've lost 5 of their last 8 as well. I think that's really what you're looking at in terms of this Toronto team. Can the Knicks beat them on the road? Well, they did that a couple of months ago. Actually, last month when the Knicks took on the Raptors and they defeated the Raptors 119-92, the final. It was the Knicks who were really feeling good at that moment in time. And a game on January 28th, just over a month ago, the Knicks completely handled the Raptors on the road. And that was when the Raptors were 29-19 heading into that game. So that's a real positive sign for the Knicks heading into this one. They've really had the Raptors number as well all season long, 3-0 in the season series. And really game 4 of that now will start tonight, a 7:30 start, and the Knicks have a very tough test as well tomorrow. They come back home after that game against Toronto, a quick flight home, and they take on the Oklahoma City Thunder, one of the best teams, if not the best, in a lot of people's opinions, in all of basketball. Of course, the record of the Detroit Pistons really outmatches it, but it's pretty close. I think OKC could have a little bit of an edge. They just have one more loss than Detroit so far this season, but it's not going to be easy for this Knicks team. It's the first meeting between the Knicks and the Thunder are back and healthy right now, minus Jalen Williams, who's still dealing with a bit of an injury. I think when you're looking at as well the injury report for a lot of the Oklahoma City Thunder team, you're looking at Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's probably dealing with an abdomen injury and may not play tomorrow. You're also looking at Isaiah Hartenstein, who's dealing with a calf injury as well. So that's something that the Knicks are looking at for tonight or for tomorrow night, and they have to really respond. If some of those guys can't play for OKC, it better be all Knicks at MSG. Prove a point, prove that if your guys are healthy, you can really just stomp on a team even as good as the Oklahoma City Thunder. So we'll see what happens. Make sure you tune in next couple days. Knicks have a couple of tough games against the Raptors and the Thunder, coming off of those wins against the Bucks and the Spurs. We'll see what happens. It all starts 7:30 tonight up in Toronto. Staying in the world of basketball, but shifting things to the college game, as number 15 St. John's hosted Villanova on Saturday evening, and this one was an absolute rout. The Johnnies completely clobber the Wildcats 89-57 behind 19 points from Ian Jackson, who only shot 5 of 11 from the field. Added a lot of his points as well from the free throw line, but he came off the bench with 19 points, a couple of three-pointers, had 5 rebounds, also had 5 steals in this game. So great work from him on the defensive end. And it wasn't like the Johnnies shot insanely well in terms of their starting lineup. Just overall as a team, they got some easy baskets. They were knocking down threes. They only took 15 threes on the day, but they made 8 of them. They also shot 52% from the field, and I think a lot of it had to do with Villanova and their turnovers. 16 turnovers in the game, and the Johnnies completely feasted on all of those. Johnnies only had 8 turnovers on their side, but had 11 steals in the game. Also some great work as well down low, 5 blocks in the game. 3 of them came from Zubi Ejiofor. And talk about an underappreciated player. I understand, well, the guy came into the year, he was the preseason Big East Player of the Year. Zubi Ejiofor had a lot of pressure on him to be the guy once again. St. John's needed him to really get back to what they had last season. But talk about a guy who just does the little things and everything you want. As a coach in Rick Pitino, everything you want in a big man, everything you want in a leader. That's exactly what Zubi Ejiofor does. 30 minutes in this game, he had 16 points, 12 rebounds, and 10 assists. A triple-double for the big man in this one in a 32-point win on their home floor at MSG. Just a phenomenal game by Zuby Ejiofor, and a triple-double to really cap off what was a phenomenal performance by the St. John's Red Storm in this one. Villanova on the other side just could not catch a break in terms of a shot going down. They only shot 37% from the field, only 57 points up on the board, but they turned the ball over in key moments, 16 turnovers, like I said, and that's going to really lose you any game from the start. They also lost one of their bigs in Matt Hodge, who went down with a torn ACL. He's done for the season, so that's a huge loss in the Big East for Villanova. And in terms of Villanova and their hopes for getting later down the road into the NCAA tournament, they'll probably get in. I'm sure they will get in with that 22-7 record right now, but it's not going to be an easy stretch for the Wildcats, especially with one of their guys going down in Matt Hodge. A sad sight to see, but Villanova has to move on. Next man up mentality, and it's going to be a tough go for the Wildcats, now not fully healthy, heading towards the NCAA tournament. But first, before that, is the Big East tournament, and before that is the season finale for a couple of these teams. And when you look at St. John's, it's their second to last game of the regular season, but it is senior night at Madison Square Garden, and it all takes place tonight. A 7 o'clock start as a memorable night, for the St. John's Red Storm in terms of Zuby Ejiofor, a guy who's graduating at the end of the year, and really a guy who could make an impact if he goes to the pros. But it's going to be about him, the leader of this team, the captain of this team. St. John's now number 18 in the country. They host Georgetown at Madison Square Garden tonight, a 7 o'clock start, like I mentioned. And the Johnnies come into this game as 16.5-point favorites, total sitting at 148.5. Georgetown, not completely the biggest test for the Red Storm, but it's really, when you look at it, when you look at Georgetown overall, KJ Lewis and him not being in this game, missing the rest of the regular season with a left ankle injury, that's a big loss for Georgetown, and one that you're taking into this game against St. John's and saying, yeah, it's been a rough season, and we're just going to shut down KJ Lewis and move on. I think really St. John's could get ugly tonight, especially with the home crowd behind them. Senior night, a lot of emotion, a lot going on for these seniors, for this St. John's squad. They want to go out in style on their home floor before they head into that season finale against the Seton Hall Pirates. That's going to take place on Friday, and we'll preview that game on Thursday's episode. But make sure you tune in tonight. It's a 7 o'clock start at MSG as St. John's hosts Georgetown at the Garden. Let's finish things off today in the world of football as the New York Jets continue to make noise in the last week or so. Of course, last week they traded Jermaine Johnson to the Tennessee Titans in exchange for Tavondre Sweat. This is all about guys that they're keeping on their team, though, as today the Jets placed that franchise tag on their running back, Breece Hall. It's the non-exclusive version of the franchise tag, which means if the Jets refuse to match a team's offer, they get 2 first-round picks. So most likely, Breece Hall will be a Jet for next season. Of course, right now, Breece Hall coming off of his best season of his career in terms of rushing, where he had over 1,000 yards for the first time in his career. Really wasn't too involved in terms of the passing game like he was the couple of years before that. But a 3-14 team, and Breece Hall still rushed for 1,000 yards. That just tells you what you got in Breece Hall, a guy who's turning just 25 on May 31st, a guy who's still very young, has a full NFL career ahead of him, and a guy who was drafted as a second-round pick in 2022 and bursted onto the scene. Of course, the torn ACL in his rookie season was a sour note to what was the year after then a great year for Breece Hall, a great couple of seasons for Breece while the Jets were just miserable near the bottom of the NFL. I think when you're looking at Breece Hall and the pairing that he has with Garrett Wilson as well, of course, two different positions, but those guys are really the core of this offense, and those are the two guys that you really want to keep when you bring in a new quarterback in the next couple of years, whether it's this year through the draft, through free agency, or next year's loaded NFL draft class in terms of quarterback. That's what you're looking for this Jets team. You need Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson to be the guys that are next to that quarterback, that young quarterback who's going to come in and really lead this team to something special. You need Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson right next to him, and the Jets really got the first part with Garrett Wilson in that contract extension before the season last year. Now it's Breece Hall's turn. Not going to get that full payday just yet. It's going to be the franchise tag that he gets. And Breece Hall, like I said, who turns 25 on May 31st, that's a guy that you definitely have to keep. So a great move for the New York Jets. Of course, this offense has a lot of work after last year heading into this upcoming season. The question is, who's going to be the quarterback? And if they are the quarterback, please get Breece Hall the ball a lot more than you did last year, because he got the ball a fair amount in terms of the run game. I think a lot of that as well had to do with Braylon Allen being shut down earlier in the year with that ACL tear. I think Breece Hall is bound for a monster year, a contract type of year where it's a prove it deal here with this franchise tag. Prove what you're worth. And Breece Hall, if he does that, I think he's going to be one of the highest paid running backs in all of football heading into next season. So we'll see what happens. Breece Hall gets the franchise tag, and the Jets bring back their star running back for 2026. But that will do it for episode 145 of the MudWatch Sports Podcast. Please subscribe below. I've been Zach Malum, and thanks for watching, and talk to you all on Friday.